Choo Charles is a comedic survival horror game where you play as a museum curator sent to a lonely island which is inhabited by a killer spider train. The game is available on Steam, PlayStation 5, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. Atmosphere. The game is mostly about upgrading your train and dealing with the constant threat of malicious spider train attacks, and your goal is to find as many upgrades as possible to best face it later on. The atmosphere is very, very light, with just the stormy weather and occasional ambient music to back the time between attacks. The atmosphere does get more threatening when you're aware Charles is in the area, but it's again not exactly dread-inducing, and in certain situations can just become annoying if he interrupts an important side quest or something similar.
Say, you're that monster hunter. I must know, do you have any experience with ghosts? Someone or something has been putting exactly 16 drawings to lampposts in the boulder field every night. I always collect and burn them, but as I was looking for them last night, I began hearing strange noises and seeing strange things.
There's a section where the game imitates Slender the 8 Pages, and this is the only part where the atmosphere doubles down and is actually really tense. It's just for an optional side quest and it's over quite quickly. Exploring the caves is intimidating initially, but the enemies, though deadly, are very easy to run past, which neuters their threat entirely.
Get 'em out of here!
But really, the atmosphere is just fun. It's a silly concept and it's very self-aware of it. Whilst it would have been more interesting to see the game go harder into the horror aspects, it's more about a vague sense of survival and getting strong enough to be able to hunt the hunter. But in terms of horror, the atmosphere is only just present. That's no Harry Masons.
Yeah, baby! We're coming for you, Charles! Do you hear that? It's him! It's him! Get to the gun! Line him up! Line him up! Careful! Don't let the gun overheat! He's not taking enough damage! Get some headshots!
Scares. The scary moments are supposed to be about dealing with Charles and his various encounters, both scripted and organic, with him appearing randomly to attack you throughout the game, and these are only as frightening as you are prepared for them. Shooting back causes him to run off after a while, but finding a nice hiding spot when you're not in the train is effective too, as he can't seem to do anything about you standing on a porch. The encounters themselves never manage to be quite frightening, but they always manage to be exciting. Though again, preparedness is a big factor. Though dying costs scraps, which is used to upgrade your train, there's very little at stake and the death animation is pretty tame. To put it bluntly, the game is too much fun to be scary, even with the train's appearance being a very cliché version of scary. Dying to it just never became frightening. That's still no Harry Masons. Sound design. The game's sound design is really great, from the sound of the train rolling over the tracks to the immersive rain and thunder effects, the thunderous chugging strings that charge the moment you spend hurtling away from Charles, to even vaguely menacing sounds you hear when the train blares its demonic whistle. The sound effects blend in perfectly with everything else, and the voice acting is the best kind of fun cheesy, with some characters really letting it all go and hamming it up all the way, to others playing their role really well.
Hello, darling. I'm making a fresh stew with ingredients from my very own swamp. But I don't have any meat at the moment.
There's some brilliant directional audio, and whilst there's very little reverb, you don't really miss it not being there. That's one Harry Mason. The game had some real opportunities to go all out with the gore, but it seems to hold back when those opportunities arise. With the characters devoured by Charles producing minimal blood as well as the lackluster death animations, this really is a case where I felt there should have been more done to double down on the horror comedy vibe the game is chasing, and it's just disappointing to see so little gore in the game. That's still one Harry Mason.
I know it's been a while since we last spoke, but something has happened at the mines I've been supervising. No, trust me, you'll want to make time for this. You're looking for something big to keep your museum in business? Well, there's something big on that island. Real big. So many friends, and even my own son are still out there. If anyone can bring this thing down, it's you. It'll be the biggest attraction your city's ever seen, and you can help an old friend. Yes, meet me on the docks at sunset. I hope you're ready for a little monster hunt.
Story. The story consists of you, a nameless protagonist, being summoned to the island by Eugene, who tells you the story of Charles, the half-trained, half-giga spider from hell, which would be the perfect thing to include in your museum. Eugene is swiftly killed off and you can't leave the island until you defeat Charles. The game has a lot of smaller stories going on in the background that are usually really easily solved or revolve around the overarching story that becomes stopping a man named Warren from using some eggs to birth more spider trains. It's again really silly and told in a way that's self-aware and amusing, and whilst none of it was particularly engaging, it was silly enough to be entertaining and made me enthusiastic to find the next weirdo to help. The story is far from great, but it fits in with the concept of the game, making the final score 2 out of 5 Harry Masons. Despite Choo Choo Charles getting a low score, this is still a really great game to switch your brain off and play. I played through the whole thing in one sitting and don't really regret a second of it. Again, I'd like to remind you the whole thing is down to my opinion in horror games. If you don't share this opinion, then that's cool, I get it. I'd like to point out that whilst I defeated the evil spider train, I did not waste any scrap and advise you don't either. There'll be more horror reviews in the pipeline, and thanks for watching. And always go check out Bumps in the middle of the night. Peace.